Welcome to another in the series, The Sip and the Chat. Welcome to another in the series, Sip and the Chat. I'm your host, LELEITH TOMLINSON. Well, many people are still basking in the excitement and the euphoria of what was a great Emancipendence weekend. And it doesn't matter who you are, young or old, young at heart, Christian, whatever, wherever you found yourself in the space, it was a lovely holiday. For some people, it was a well-deserved rest. For many other people, it was just, boy, I'm going to capitalize on the fun can done. And it's just a time of reflection as well. We celebrated 64 years of independence,
Yes.
right? And with me today is a young man, a talented young man. Wow, so many things are looking very, very promising in his future. And if you know me, I'm always excited about these young men and just how they're poised, to become excellent in their field of endeavors. I want to welcome Mr. Taj McDurmoth to the set today. Welcome, Taj.
Hi, hello. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's really great to have him. Last time we had Taj on set, it was about his innovation that won him some money.
Yes.
And the best is still yet to come, right? It was about telling your story through your T-shirt. My producer will show it up just to refresh your memory. But as we reflected on the Emancipendence, right? Because that's what it now is, where we also reflect on the whole matter of not just emancipation, but also we got a day for independence.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just juxtaposed, and we call it Emancipendence weekend. And one of the things that came to me, Taj, is just that we seem to be caught up in it, yes, but I'm not sure how much the essence, especially for the young people, is still what we want them to embrace. And so that's part of what we want to talk about today. I want to start to talk first about culture. What does culture mean to you? When we talk about Jamaican culture and identity, what does that mean for a young man in Jamaica?
So it means a lot to me, honestly. As a person that has been participating in Grand Gala for 5 years,
Wow.
it's something that I look forward to going on that field to showcase what Jamaica have to offer and symbolizing stuff. So it's something great, but for a long while I've been doing it because I love dancing, but not because it was a part of our culture. So this coming time I chose to sit and watch it, and it was such a beautiful thing. So I would not just speak for myself, but culture nowadays to young people, I would say that it is about our music and how there's no other culture like ours. I have been watching a lot of
In
music
Jamaica, we say
videos.
clock it, right?
Yes,
Clock
oh
the
my
tea.
God.
And I want us to say it again, that there is absolutely no culture
No,
that
no.
is as fabulous as the Jamaican culture. I heard somebody say, boy, if anybody went about Jamaica, they're supposed to sad.
Sad bad.
Yeah, but I'm so glad, Taj, because I know that there is a small microcosm of persons who are still saying we have to understand and embrace where we came from and what has transcended over those 64 years, and not just so much now in the era now and say, oh, the music nice, or but how did we get here? And I'm so glad to hear, Taj, that as a young man, you are embracing the culture as well, and so you also, by extension, represent that macrocosm of young people are saying we're not just wear green, red, black, green, and gold, but we understand the colors and what they symbolize. So just to help somebody here, when we talk about culture, we're talking about what makes a people uniquely them, right? So we're talking about their social norms. We're going to get a little deeper into that. We're talking about their social norms, their language, the music, some ideologies as well.
Yes.
Does Jamaica have some ideologies? Them to stop right here, right? And some of them, we know a lot of them come out of our African retention. So for example, if you have a baby, and I'm educated, I just said before we came on this set, you said that you are also here to be educated as well.
Yes, because I learned a lot about proverbs since recently, and I'm like, whoa.
Yes. As Miss Loda said, take kinti keep a heartburn. We have one cook a full basket. In other words, you might not get success immediately, but you can just be incremental in how you achieve, and you sleep that,
An
it,
empty bag can't stand up.
exactly, right. I'm proud of you, Taj. You're doing
See,
well,
I'm
man.
learning.
You're learning because we had that experience a few days ago. And it's so important because those are ideologies, philosophy that has helped us as well, right? Make hay while the sun shines. Your mother would tell you that, and what's sweet and you go take a run in
Belly.
belly. Because sometimes it just acting like you don't know that danger is coming. And there's another my mom used to tell me, she said, when plant one, then it shoot. So I'll be giving trouble and doing all kinds of things. And of course, our producer will put up a number of them just to refresh our audience mind about some of these things that are so Jamaican in its orientation, but so rooted and help us to be grounded in our
Yes.
ideologies, right? So culture, viewers, is really about what makes us, right? What makes us Jamaican. So I want to talk about some of them. So when it comes to language, Jamaican people, we kind of talk a little bit backwards. So if the food really nice, right? We not only say the food tastes good, but in the streets, I always say, body man.
Body slap way. Who make that food there?
Right. So we have our own little way. So if you go somewhere and you're trying, you hear somebody say something, say, wow, that person is Jamaican. The food slap way.
And you know what's the craziest thing about it? A lot of Jamaican want to get rid of how they speak, but a lot of people out of Jamaica love the way we speak, and they just want to hear you open your mouth and be like, "Oh, you're from Jamaica," and it's like that's your whole personality outside of
Taj, you're
Jamaica.
so right. You're so right, Taj. It's so what I find ironic because as you rightfully say, we go somewhere and we open our mouth and them say, "What one man?" And you begin to engage them, and they want to know about the culture. They want to know about Dunn's River. They want to know about the Blue Mountains. They want to know about so many things. But we who are here, we just take it for granted. And one of the things I find very interesting as well, Taj, and you're a young person in the space, is even with the whole language, because in one breath we say we must embrace our patois, right? And then yet still, if a person go there and say, "I want go on, I want do you," them say, "You speak, buddy." So the question is, where do you find that middle ground? What do you do?
I think as we go into an age where we're now familiarizing ourselves with Patwa, I think a last article that I read was they're trying to make Patwa one.
A
Yes,
language, right? And I mean, kudos to some of the persons like her, Dr. Carlin Cooper, and other persons who have been working assiduously to try to get it standardized. But there's also demo and huno and stuff like that. So, because sometimes one word I mean the same things and stuff like
yes,
that. So, but we know it's harder. But what we're saying is that we have to maintain what's us. How important is identity? But even cultural identity. How important is that for a young man or a young person?
so as someone who design t-shirt and wanting to let person express themselves through my graphics, I think it's something that's centric to us as human beings, as Jamaicans. I believe that for a lot of us who grew up with our grandparents and grew up on Anansi's story, these
Right.
are something that we should carry on to our kids in the future to teach them about. So Jamaican culture and about our identity is something intricate about us.
Right. It's so we were supposed to get so deep into knowing who we are, and I like how you're thinking, Taj. It's not just for you to know, but for you to transcend
Yes.
whatever those ideologies are, whatever those the things that makes us us. And everything is so modern now. I know that you're into technology and you're a great you do your coding and all that kind of stuff. That's your thing. But it's sometimes it's so sad, Taj, because in days gone by, I'm not very far from your age. But in days gone by, Taj, I didn't really have that sit down, tell an auntie story, but I would have been closer to it than you were. And I'd have heard my mother say, sometimes I didn't have any light, like electricity from JPS and so on, but people would huddle together in the
Mhm.
community and they would sit down and they would hear these stories, these little fables. And it was so strange because they listen to the story and they'll feel afraid.
Yes.
Talk about different things that were happening. But no, there's not that kind of community spirit. So many things have broken down, and I'm not an anti-tablet person or
Mhm.
anti-technology person, but I find that we'll have to find some creative way to still get back those kind of tradition in the space, right? So one of the things about Jamaica, so we talk about language and culture, is that in Jamaica we call people by their right there. Profession. So if you
Yes.
fix shoes, you're a what? They call you shoey.
Yes.
And if you sell fudge, you're fudge man.
Or if you black, them just say blacks.
Yeah.
Different things like this. So a lot of us look at, for example, your clothes. The lady in the red shirt will say Miss Red, you know.
Misread, right?
So that's something we do.
Yeah, we call people fudgy. We call people short man if they by their appearance, tall man. And even somebody has like they said, they will call you if you have a tall nose, or they just look at you and they give you a name. And so those are some of the things that makes us as a people. Those are the things that makes us. And we want to say to people out there, know who you are. Young people, don't walk away from your culture, because at the end of the day, that's what makes you you, right? And I know there's a lot of European influence, North American influence in the music and everything, but I find it very interesting. I think young people, I don't know if we can talk to that, Taj, because even with my own son, I find that I think young people are trying to get back to some of those cultural habits. Tell us how you think it's possible to have that kind of greater penetration in helping younger people to appreciate our past.
I think recently the music, I don't want to say the music scene is saturated, but I am seeing where things that we grew up on is coming back into the music. Because you had mentioned something was sweet nanny goat, I go running belly. We hear that in a new music, but I believe the way they're using it can be violent to younger folks. So I do believe that we can use our history and our past to educate the younger folks. And one of the things that I believe in, which I've started at my university, is culture and cultural exchange. So I founded the Culture Club at UCC, and I want for persons to be able to learn about our heroes and all of these lovely things about Jamaica.
I'm so proud of you, Tasha. Every time I talk to you, I get become more inspired. Like I want to be 16 again. Oh yeah, there's just. I mean, it's like the more you become mature, is the more you look at openings and opportunities of just how to spread the culture. And I'm sure, as you said, to the culture club, we can talk about roots. We can try to make certain dishes.
Yes.
People learn, because sometimes you go somewhere, that this is not this. It's they're saying Jamaican, but we know it's not Jamaican. People try different jerks and different things, and our ackee and saltfish or oxtail. I went somewhere the other day and somebody said this is ackee. No, 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 this is not ackee and saltfish. You know, you have to come home to get it real, or wherever you are, somebody from the soil has to get it. When we think about one of the things about Jamaica though is ethnic or cultural diversity. Um, Talk to us about it. Should we be embracing outside, or just stick close to us, or should there be a fusion?
As it relates to that, I would say our culture is based on out of many one people. So I believe that we can embrace other culture, but also stay true to ours, because a lot of persons want to do the things that we do. And I believe that those are things that we should hold dearly to our heart, because there's no place like home, and you don't know what you have until you lose it. A lot of time we dream so big of wanting to go overseas, and then when we're far away from our country, we're like, I miss Jamaica. So it's something that I do believe that we can embrace other things about our nation, because we're made up of black people, African American, African Jamaican, Chinese, and all of these lovely people. So we can embrace a lot of things, but also stay true to who we are as a people.
Wow, that's so important, Taj. So important that while we are out of many one people, and that's great, there are some things that are so Jamaican that we should try to embrace. And as you rightfully say, I can recall, I don't even know if you were around that time, but Taj, I remember, the Air Jamaica plane. If you were traveling, you go to the airport and you see the Air Jamaica plane. That's our plane. So no matter where I traveled to, once I saw the plane, I almost felt like, yeah, I'm touching base with home. And then there was no Air Jamaica,
Mhm.
right? And then, they had a little piece left and they put it outside the airport, so you still kind of see a little piece of that plane and it meant much to you. But no, there is no Air Jamaica. I mean, everything about that travel experience was great. You saw your people, They looked different from the other air hostess. They just flight attendants. It was just such a different experience. I know that they're no longer Air Jamaica, and I know that people reminisce about those good old days. And like you rightfully say, it's so sad that we take what we have for granted and then we spend hours and time trying to recreate and said, we wish we had back the good old days. So even though all is not lost now, right? And so what we need to do is to embrace what we have. As we're going to be talking to some young people in the streets about just how important culture is to them and how they see the culture transcending and embracing the whole cultural diversity. But as we look at it also, we want to look at even in terms of just young people and young people talk a lot about freedom and so on. And we want to talk a little bit about just how, even in terms of our values,
Mm-hmm.
just how our values are changing. Should we be looking south or north rather, or should we go back to some of those little cultural things? So, for example, you could have passed a person and don't say good morning.
Like it's crazy, like how can you not pass an elderly person, not even somebody your age, and not say good morning?
Yeah, but the people of today, like some of the people are saying, what is so good about the morning? So we find like it's an age where, so busy, can't speak to you right now. We're
That
talking
should
about in
never
the
be the
space.
case.
Exactly. But so I think we need to have, as some of the programs where we'll go back to some of the things that were culturally appropriate. You enter that space, you say good morning. Taja don't even know this, but I know your good friend, Mr. Michael, must remember this. When we were younger, one of the things about Jamaican parents, is that they would beat you.
So I think
They would beat you, right? And then when they beat you, you're really sore from the beating. They'd say, "You want me to give you something to cry for?"
I experienced that. I experienced
They,
that.
they would give you a proper beating, and they would say, and guess what? Anything they find the beat you with, But I tell you, I can understand why the law would come into play in poor little children, and they should show shot put. Their arrows were their throw was so on point. They take up a friend of mine told me that her mom had a yam, and her mother called her, and like her mother was cooking and she was peeling some yam, and her mom called her and she might, that little shrug or something like that, and her mother took up a piece of the yam, and she threw it and it landed right in the corner of her head.
No.
So I'm not saying that we should do that, but I'm just saying that the whole matter of the respect factor is what we're talking
Yeah,
about.
because even though it's kind of negative to hit your child, but it also give us a perspective to respect our adults,
And kept you in line,
Yes.
and still keep you in line, because I think that we watch so many different shows. We see shows like shows on TV where it's like it's so fluid between parent and child, so it's almost like anything goes, right? So I think whereas we're exposed to certain culture and how they interact, right, we must also remember the things that made us who we are, the respect factor. We don't hiss our teeth, and even the whole matter of church. Sunday was one seen in our culture as a sacred day. You know what I'm saying? I remember so clearly that I used to go to a church in my community, and there was a bar next door to the church. But guess what? Mr. Bar owner, is you hear I'm saying Mr. Bar owner, right? Because I don't know his name. The bar owner would not turn on the music until church was dismissed, right? But no, it's like sometimes a deacon have to go outside and say, Bossy, remember, say we have church or somewhere, we have to in there pray, and I say, Lord, lock it down. You know what I'm saying? Because of that kind of fluidity, like anything goes in our society, is something that is of concern to us today. As it seems like, what is the big deal? But we have to honor and respect the things that brought us to this place. 64 years, a lot has been invested in our culture. And even one of the things about even children going to Sunday school, it's like it don't matter anymore. I remember one time I said to some little children, sing a song for me that like a Christian song. And the little children, it was for our program, right? And they started singing a song. I was like, no, 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 no. I mean, a song that we can sing at church. I was like, sing a popular song. I was just thinking they would start with a Christian song, but they were singing a song that was not one that we would normally sing in church, for want of better expression. So I'm just thinking that we need to bring it back to prayers,
Yes, because I grew up on the hymn book, and I think Sunday school and church overall is something that brings you humility, and it just grown you to know that you have something to believe in, you have faith. So I do believe that we should care about that culture, and I realize that where there's one church, there is two bars to it, which is really sad and depressing to see. Like people actually rather go to a bar than to go to a church.
Yeah, and people try to explain that around many different things about hypocrisy in church and all kind of things that they want to. But the reality is that Jamaica is a country that is very grounded in spiritual wisdom and are out of many. When we talk about this, out of many, we're also talking about our national anthem as well.
It's
That's
literally a
literally a prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven. And even as I reflected on the Grand Gala, I wasn't there in person, but I looked at the whole structure of the event and I'm saying, we're really blessed, because it's really very few places that you can go to a national event, celebrating a national event in that way. And a good portion of the program was about spiritual singing
yes.
and engagement and stuff like that. And I think that was something good. You know
That
what I'm
was
saying?
beautiful. My
That was
first time
really something good. And
experiencing
sometimes
like
people
that.
say, I mean, yeah, we have been a very perverse nation at times. We have done some things that I'm sure God is not always pleased with, but I'm sure that there are some things that make Jamaican uniquely Jamaican. Early in the morning, people walking to church. In other community, they still have a little lady who go to prayer meeting every Monday or whenever it is that they go, but they still respect and hold dear to the fact that as a people, we are not just into we're not just about music and culture and food, but we're deeply right a society that believe. I'm not going to use religious because people will play on that, but we're deeply a spiritual country,
Mhm.
right? And a lot of what we do and say, we need to get back to the thinkers and the forefathers and the pioneers. You talk about national hero though. Which one are the heroes? I know you told me you like all of them, right? But tell me something about some whatever their contribution is to nationhood or independence or so that really you always reflect on in a positive way.
To be honest, one that stands out to me, I would say Nanny of the Maroon. The fact that she's the only female just really speaks to me, and I want to experience or want to expound on what makes her who she is today. And I need people to understand that to go out there and to express yourself and to stand up for your nation is not an easy thing. So I, if I could say one thing to our heroes, I would say you are very courageous to stand up for a nation, and we
Whether it was
respect you.
politics, whether it was social justice. And people kind of sometimes just undermine nanny and say, they have different, oh, nanny use her there to block shot and all kind
That's
of.
the one that I.
A lot of people take it for you, but as you rightfully say, Nanny was leading a massive army of people,
Yes.
and back in those days, to be able to galvanize those men, go to make representation to the British people, negotiate. We have, what I'm saying. I think that was really a big move in a time when we're not even talking about feminism at the time, but she stood up for her cause, she stood up for what she believed in, and she stood up for her people, and also, stood up for where we are today. I think for me, one of the person that inspires me as well would be Marcus Garvey, and just like Marcus was just like,
Political activists.
yeah, but to me, some of his ideologies, intellectual ideologies, was almost like it was before his time.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things, Taj, that when I tell you, sometimes I'm just so proud of my country, Jamaica, amidst all some of the things that happened, is that I remember watching this move when he was leaving from the United States to come back home. I mean, it was like a Michael Jackson thing. I mean, people were crying, for Marcus. They wanted Marcus Garvey.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about how Harlem as a society, how they embrace his teaching, not just in Jamaica, but overseas, his whole concept of the African race and the upliftment and stuff like that. A Jamaican, we're not normal. We are not a normal people. I'm telling you. As my son always said, Jamaica not normal. I mean, somebody said they cannot believe that Jamaica is just like 3 point something million people. When you consider the impact that we have globally, the man said himself that we're almost about 35 million people, because if it's sports, we're into it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to almost any quarters of the world, you see a flag or you hear a voice from Jamaica. I remember being in the interior of Guyana many years ago. I was in the interior. I was going to into Bartica,
Mm-hmm.
and I was there. And I mean, I felt I was among the people. Yeah, they had my skin hue and everything, but it was like, oh my God, because you had to take a boat to go over. And believe me, when I reached that, when I was at a certain place and I heard the Bob Marley music at the time, and I heard the Jamaican music, I was like, oh, we reach over here, so I was like, oh, we reach over here, so I went all the way to Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
And when I told him man I was from Jamaica, he began to engage me into conversation immediately about Bob Marley. So it's like whether you go east, west, north, or south, our strength, our culture precedes us in the good, the bad, and the indifference. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing that I'm talking about. And we don't know what we have until we lose it. We as a people need to understand the importance of our culture and embrace it, because I remember being told a story by a friend that he went overseas and everyone got the chance to stand up and explain what's so special about them. And everyone stand, I am so and I can draw and I can do this. He stand up and say, I am so and I am Jamaican. And immediately everyone started being like, oh my God,
And then also
and take picture and all of this. So I think we need to understand the importance of our culture and where we came from.
oh wow, that is so good, Taj. It's so important. Every single where you go in Jamaica, people want to know whether it is about the language, the culture, the dance. If you can do this dance, if you can do that dance. It's just amazing. It's just amazing because, as we said, because we are out of many one people, we continue to engage other people. This is a melting pot almost of the Caribbean, right? A lot of people want to come here. They want to do this here. They want to try it on the Jamaican, front to see what will happen to a particular product or service. So we're always interacting with people, and we're also always traveling. So that's interesting about Jamaica. People want to come here and we want to go there. And as we go to wherever we're going, most times they don't go alone. A university student is going up, they want to bring a Jamaican t-shirt. If they have a roomie say, when you're coming back, bring a bracelet from me or something. They want to have Jamaican. And so we want to continue to encourage people that there are some things about Jamaican that are so positive. Our values that we have been entrenched in us as young people, the do's and the don'ts. You know what I'm saying? We talked about our proverbs earlier on.
Yes.
And though we live in a world where so many things are shaking and changing, we want to encourage parents to continue to be good transmitters of the culture, and to ask persons out there, as we last week we really really celebrated Emancipendence, to continue to hold firm to the pillars that makes us uniquely us. Out of many, we are one people, and we are stronger together than we are apart. And as we look forward, I don't know, some people look forward to another 64 years. I don't want to begin to think, how mellow, how mellow I would be in the next 64 years. But we want to say to persons out there, let us continue to wear Jamaica proud, and make sure that whenever somebody sees us and we utter something about this land of wood and water, we say it's magical, but it should be magical because it embraces so many things that people cannot believe in a positive way. Until next time, let us continue to sip and chat.